Mike Kern here with Adam Emmenecker for our final shoot-around segment of the regular season. And Adam, a big game on Saturday in Cedar Falls with Northern Iowa hosting Loyola. Northern Iowa was at the short end in the first matchup, but everything's at stake here for the title.
Yeah, Mike, I mean, it can't get any more exciting preparing for Arch Madness than having four teams at the top of the league all within one game of one another, and we get a showdown of the two teams for first place, right? And so there's a lot at stake, not only first place in the league in that number one spot, but the team that loses most likely is going to enter a three-way tie for second through fourth, and now you get your master's degree out for all the tiebreakers. But I look at that game, and the first time around it wasn't close. I mean, listen, this Northern Iowa team playing way better than they have throughout the course of the year. They earn the spot where they are, a chance to be first in the league. But against Loyola, had a bit of a letdown, 85-58 that first go round. Loyola 21 assists to only 6 for Northern Iowa, just putting on an absolute clinic on both ends. Loyola knocked down 14 threes as well. That was in Gentile Arena though. And so for Loyola going into Cedar Falls in the McLeod Center, I expect a focused Northern Iowa ball club. But this is two teams, very similar styles, efficient on the offensive side, really solid on defense. This is going to be a fun one to watch.
And the Ramblers are really good at Gentile Arena, as you mentioned. And this game will feature two of the candidates for the Larry Bird Trophy with AJ Green and Lucas Williamson. And if you could touch on your thoughts on those two guys, and of course, Isaiah Mosley and probably two others that are in the mix, but those are the top three, I think.
Yeah, well, and really, I think it comes down to this final game, especially if one of those guys plays really well and their team wins. It's been pretty neck and neck, just like the race in the standings has been neck and neck. Loyola, UNI, Missouri State, and of course Drake is that fourth team. Bradley a little bit outside looking in. But as we think about player of the year, I really think it's going to come down to who plays better in that final game. AJ Green and Lucas Williamson have been outstanding in big games for their team. And Lucas Williamson, no doubt, will have that matchup guarding AJ Green, one of the toughest covers in the league.
So we talked about one game. Missouri State is playing at Evansville, but Drake and Southern Illinois are also playing, and all those three games are very key for the top four positions. Talk a little bit about Drake and Southern, if you will. Marcus Damask, Roman Penn, Tucker DeVries, and that matchup as well.
Yeah, I think it's easy to look at that Northern Iowa and Loyola game and just lose focus on the other ones and say, okay, that team's going to be first, and then the next team's going to be in a three-way tie. You're Missouri State, you're not overlooking Evansville. You're Drake, you're definitely not overlooking SIU. Brian Mullins, I mean, that group just plays so hard between Lance Jones and Marcus Domas. They're dangerous on the offensive side, but they're so physical defensively, really difficult to play against. And you mentioned Tucker DeVries. I mean, we were talking about player of the year. Tucker DeVries has gotten better and better and better throughout the course of this year. You continue to see the maturation and growth out of that young man, but he's a guy that we get into Arch Madness, Mike. Don't be surprised if he goes for 20, 25, 30 in consecutive games. That Drake team needs young legs, and for them to be successful in Arch Madness, they're going to need Tucker DeVries to go off.
And one last person that I want you to hit on. We've talked about Tucker DeVries, and he's a candidate for Freshman of the Year and probably some other honors. But Terry Roberts of Bradley, his impact on the Braves season, and the Braves will likely be in the 5 or perhaps the 6 hole, but probably the 5. But talk a little bit about his impact on Brian Wardle's ball club.
Yeah, I think just the pace that Terry Roberts brings just changes their team. That's a great defensive team. Brian Wardle plays great defense. They always do. Bradley always does under Brian Wardle. But what Terry Roberts brings offensively, the ability to break down a defense, get in the paint. He can shoot it from deep, but that's not his specialty. His specialty is drawing contact and finding people. And that extra punch offensively makes that Bradley team so dangerous. Terry Roberts at his best, no doubt one of the best players in this league.
So 5 games. All 5 games have an impact on the seeds. And then we have 9 games in St. Louis with Arch Madness, and looking forward to it. Any last comments before you let you go, Adam?
Great final weekend, and can't wait for Arch Madness as well. Setting up to be an exciting March as always, Mike.
All right. Thank you for joining us again, and we will talk to you throughout next year as well, and maybe one more time this year. Thank you again.